Hello, welcome. I am Brich Pahava. I'm the editorial lead for martech.ai.com and Exchange for Media Group. And today with me is Mr. Kamaljeet Anand. He's the chief data scientist and managing partner at KiEVerse Square Consulting. He's a leader of data science and has about 15 years of experience in data analytics and consulting across verticals. Thank you so much. Mr. Anand, for joining us today.
It's all my pleasure. Thanks for having me here, Bridge.
So, I want to start with something which, which we have seen in the past couple of months, and we have asked this question, among the webinars that we have been doing. Um, Over the last decade, Indian marketers have invested heavily in
Mm-hmm.
data platforms and AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yet surveys repeatedly show that, fewer than 30% describe themselves as truly data-driven. Why do you think this gap persists, and what role can marketing technology play in closing it?
Got it. And this question you ask, keeping in mind mostly the consumer packaged goods industry or pan industry.
I am talking across industries,
Yeah.
and we have seen this pattern where uh, where martech leaders have drowned themselves in data and sets of data which haven't been coming out and giving meaningful outcomes. So where does that gap exist? How do you create a clean data room?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, uh, Thanks for asking this. And uh, I mean, I would do some dissection by the industry a bit here. So if you look at telco and banking, so telco and banking have had the luxury of having customer data at the most granular level for a very long time. They have been able to, look at the behavioral information also. If let's say if you're talking about banking or you're talking about telco, how the customer is spending money, for example. So it's very much known to the most granular detail. If we talk about telco, it's known how much he talks or how much he messages and so on and so forth. So the information is really truly available. And I would think that they have been able to utilize this information in a lot of both on the marketing side as well as on the risk side of business, because mostly whenever you talk about a business, it has opportunity as well as threats. So on the opportunity side, you have multiple models which are more marketing led. And on the threat side, you have several risk models. So I would say that these two industries in particular have been able to use the data exceedingly well. And they have been able to uh, guide their customers or their machineries from a CRM standpoint. They were the earliest investors in CRM. So they have built mechanisms and capabilities to be able to do this. What they lack is maybe market intelligence. What they lack is what is the customer doing when he's not on the platform, or what is he doing or what is she doing, when they are doing something else, watching TV and not really on their platform. So that's the gap. Truly, to some extent, you have third party dependence or you have AI dependence, which is, kind of coming in and filling in. So that gap, we see a lot of, prevailing, for a long time. So I think that hasn't been filled. So that's one. If I come to large spenders, let's say CPG overall, so in CPG, the problem is that you do not have customer level data, first of all. So you have great dependency on third party agencies to be able to provide this information to you. And this information could be through market research or could be through agency spends that are there. They do not have customers. Customers are with retailers or with e-com players. So you are totally dependent on what information they relay back to you.
Mm.
Only if you have D2C, let's say, for example, you have a channel of yours where you are able to read and see what the customer is actually doing, you are able to know, great details and in depth about your customer. You can build good scientific loyalty programs around them. But unfortunately, You would know in Indian as well as global contexts, D2C has not been a very big success for most of the players, who also have a third party or a marketplace listing. So the question comes, where would you take the money? Would you take it to D2C or would you take it to, the marketplaces? So invariably, 80 to 90% of the budget will go to the marketplaces, and D2C will never have the critical level to sustain itself. So that's a design flaw in a way. But by and large, this gap exists. Also, one more problem is coming in, and it's an opportunity also at the same time. The opportunity comes from the fact that uh, there are like 10 to 15 e-commerce platforms now in India. Also, there are multiple quick commerce, which is available. So you have a variety of e-commerce and quick commerce possibilities where you could list your product. And at the same time, you could spend at like 8 to 10 different major platforms which are there. So ability to bring all this data really together is a big impasse, I might say. I would like to, kind of admit that, having seen people bring the information, but it's not necessarily homogenizable. So you cannot, kind of, because they have different formats, so it doesn't come together. So even if you got that data in, if it comes with a latency, let's say it doesn't come every end of day, it doesn't come every end of hour, the utilization of that data diminishes significantly. So I mean, these are some of the issues which kind of impact the marketing, planning, and execution actually.
Since you have consulted a lot of, Fortune 500 companies, uh,
Mhm.
I wanted to draw an inspiration from the answer that you just gave. Are there any successful examples of CPG, FMCG companies really successfully deploying D2C models to get the data they want? Because as you rightly said, the data mostly resides with the retailers or the wholesalers for CPG and FMCG. But are there any successful use cases, examples, that they have deployed?
From a D2C standpoint, again, we're talking CPG primarily here, Bridge, I believe, right? Yeah. So there have been examples, and they continue to be doing a business, but it's not like a volume business still. Everything said and done, Bridge. So uh, from an AI standpoint, a lot of new inventions and adoptions have happened, but
Hmm.
primarily from D2C success standpoint, let's say large brands like Saffola, for example, in Indian context. So they have had their own, D2C setup as well. But then, whenever you sell a lot of volume through this D2C, it competes also with your traditional channels.
True, true.
So, as a corporation, you have to take a point of view that do you want to compete with your modern trade and your other marketplaces or not. So, they see you in a different light if you are pushing the D2C a lot.
In
So,
essence, you are just giving competition to your own traditional model.
exactly. So you are competing, and in a way, you are not generating new volumes, but it is still, good from a customer understanding standpoint. You will have much more read on what the behavioral responses are to the various campaigns that you run. So you'll be able to do that firsthand. So that's the major advantage that you.
Hmm. Another question which,
And
a
if I
lot
may
of,
add, sorry, Bridge,
yes.
you in the US. In retail, though retailers have, because their e-com presence and their ability to push their own products has been very significant. So private labels get sold significantly. So, for example, if you go to Staples or
Hmm.
Target, for example, these are retail major
Hmm.
brands in the US, and they are able to push a lot of. I mean, they are technically all D2C only because they have large chains. So, but their e-com has been extremely successful also. So Target is doing very well. Staples is doing very well. Even Walmart's online stores are doing obviously excellent. But then they are, uh,
But they have challenged their traditional models too.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Hmm. So, you know, today almost every CEO wants, considering they're investing so much into marketing technology and AI, they also want profitability from their martech heads. Long
Hmm.
gone are the days when, a marketer could just go to the CEO and put some numbers, talk something in a psychological language, but today everything is based on ROI. Uh,
Hmm.
in almost every sector, companies say they want profitability from AI, but adoption often stops at pilots. From your experience, what separates the few who achieve measurable ROI from the many who don't?
Yeah. It's a very good question, Bridge, and it needs a very systemic thinking at the end of the customers, I may say, at the end of the clients and the large enterprises. And when we talk about Fortune corporations, they have set systems, but the problem is that they have too many systems. So when you have too many systems, how do you reconcile? So somebody or the other is doing, let's say, for example, you are getting data from Nielsen, so it puts some ROI measurement on the house. So if you have ROI coming in from them, how much do you want to really go with that ROI measurement?
Hmm.
Second is that if you have a lot of agencies who are spending your money, who are spending budgets for you, if those agencies give you ROAS measurement, and they are the ones who are spending it also, again, it's not ideal. So somebody who provides the data, somebody who does the spending for you, both are
Hmm.
not ideal from the measurement of ROAS standpoint. So this uh, complementary ROI measurement is generally with their view of spending that they are doing. But agency, you may not be having one agency, you may be having multiple agencies. So if you have five agencies, so you cannot go to the ROAS measurement of five different agencies. Somebody has to centralize that information, and centrally this needs to be measured either by their own teams or by third party providers who can aggregate all that information across performance agencies and RNF agencies. So RNF ROAS is very different and performance ROAS is very different. So what has been happening of late, Bridges, that the performance spends are going up. So the first thing which happened, if you look at it, a few years back, it was all TV and traditional media. From there, you went and let's say, the new digital media came and a lot of spending went towards digital. And when it became digital, so let's say about 30-40% spend has gone to digital, about 60-70% remains with the traditional media still. So let's say that 40% that you have, now the split is between off platform and on platform. Off platform is YouTube, Meta, Google Ads, and anything within the Meta world which is there. And if you talk about on platform, so that is all e-commerce platforms that are there, for example, Amazon, or you have BigBasket, Flipkart. In the international context, you have eBay, you have Amazon again, and multiple Lazada, and so on and so forth, so many of them. So now the split is that whether you spend that money on platform or you spend that money off platform. If you spend it off platform, primarily you are using it for generating traffic. But if you are spending it on platform, then you are using it mainly for conversions and making sure that your performance is good. So a majority of that 40% that I was talking about is now going towards the performance marketing. So you cannot get the tap dry for off-platform spend, which is going to generate traffic. So where will that money come from? So it will dig further into what TV is, what print is, and traditional media. So there is a big pressure on the traditional, so which is coming down from, let's say, a 60 now to maybe about 30, 40, 50, depending upon the kind of brand that we are talking about. So the large organizations, what they have done is they have now slotted that they would want to do a minimum RNF of about 50%. So they would not do a reach and frequency spend of at least 50%,
Hmm.
because anything less than that kind of jeopardizes the work that they've done to do the brand building. So brand would be at risk the moment you do that. Remaining 50%, you have a choice where do you spend it? Do you spend it off platform or on platform,
Hmm.
whichever way? And in the top 50% also that I spoke about, the RNF spending, you could do it in traditional media, you could do it in the other off platforms that you got, YouTube, etc. So they have sorted this part out, and I think that's a good thing. But young organizations, which are actually more agile, in fact, they're not spending much on brand building. They're spending all on making conversions. Most of their spends are on the platform. Okay. So if a brand is 80% on the oxygen, you know, so the moment the oxygen is off, you are going to
Yeah.
lose the market share. So there is no base of the brand. Everything is incremental technically for that. So so large organizations have, deeper pockets. So they are able to, have very high organic ranks on SOV, organic ranks on the platform. But if you look at smaller brands, their organic ranks are not very good, but their paid ranks are extremely good. So they are compensating from there. So I think these are some of the things that the growing organizations have to really figure out and still allocate some part of the money on this. One more thing which organizations have done, the larger organizations have um, segregated significant component to do market intelligence actually. So they read what is happening in the on a platform, whether it is availability, your availability, competition availability, your prices, competition prices, how these things change, how the prices change, how the discounts get applied, and you pull all that information together. And keywords are extremely important today, Bridge. So if the spending is happening, so which keyword is most important keyword, which one is losing significance? So this is all intelligence. So those who have invested into this kind of an intelligence, they have, got better ROAS, understanding and better ROAS they have been able to derive from their investment. So that's how I would.
So I think traditionally reading data has been still largely easy. It's the difficult part comes in when it is about making sense. And I'd give you an example. The other day when I was surfing my Instagram, I got an advertisement from Audi to buy their car, and just after about four reels, I get an advertisement from Suzuki to buy their car. Now, these are two completely different segments,
Hmm.
representing two completely different sets of customers. And I may be in either of them, but I am getting ads from both. That means either of them has a certain, intelligence platform which is reading my data completely wrong. So my next question is that, today most CDPs, struggle with real-time identity resolution, especially working with fragmented Indian databases. From a technical standpoint, what approach should a company take? Should it be a deterministic or a probabilistic, or perhaps an AI-driven graphic model based on, past experience? What do you see working best in this environment?
Yeah, so definitely a CDP is required, and there is no single way to know how valuable a customer is to you, actually. And if you're not able to aggregate information from across physical channel, from various quick commerce, e-commerce, all the places that you are having your customer interaction at, so if you're not able to bring it all together, you would never be able to put the true value of a customer. Obviously you are nowhere close to knowing the share of wallet.
Hmm.
If you had known that, let's say if you had any inkling of what the share of wallet of a customer is, because many times, like you just said, that's a good example of how ad money got wasted technically.
Hmm.
That's what you said. Now you are very happy. There's a customer who gives you like, $100 a month, which is significant money for, in Indian context, 7, 8,000, talking about Myntra, 8,000 is like not very high. 8,000 is a, spend that people actually do on that platform. So, so somebody is giving you $100. You're very happy about it, and you put him in the topmost bracket of your customer spends or your customer rankings.
Hmm.
Now, if you had known his share of wallet, maybe you would have known he spent $100, but actually he spends like $2,000 a month. So you are still at maybe 1/20th of the total capacity or total, potential of a customer. So it's not about, how much he is spending. It's a question of what the potential is, what
Hmm.
potential you've been able to tap. So what are the surrogates of share of wallet that you can really have? You will never have the real share of wallet unless you are a multi-channel retailer, because retailer would know in many ways that what you are doing across platforms. Um, Now, for example, people have figured out they go with one e-com and one quick commerce. Generally in their as a consumer thought process, they would have one channel for e-com and a one backup channel for e-com, one quick commerce major channel and a backup channel for them. Uh,
Hmm.
and that's about it. So technically, if these four are covered, you know how much the person is spending in the universe, technically for you.
Hmm.
So if you are, let's say, a Big Basket, for example. So Big Basket has BB now, and Big Basket has the major platform which is there. Across the two, it can know what is the share of wallet of the two. And in fact, because it's part of the Tata group, technically, and you are all bound by the Tata New. In the new world, it is Tata New
Yeah.
for them. So the same guy goes to Chroma, the same guy maybe goes to Taj or some other, Tata businesses and franchises. And now they've taken the first effort to homogenize and, kind of bring all information together. So Tata in India, at least, is one of the earliest mover in bringing information from across various types of, usages that you may be doing. Hospitality is also covered, and you have retail of high retail,
Almost
low retail.
everything. Almost everything. Nothing that
Exactly.
hasn't been
So
covered.
they have been able to bring this at one place. So they have given a very good example of how to at least bring the information. But I'm not saying that they have still got the best value out. They have got data only, but they haven't got the data-based decisions yet. So I think the opportunity lies in being able to have this CDP and plug your engines, which are there, whether they are CRM engines or they are marketing engines, and not waste money, where if a customer is worth value X, you cannot end up spending, 2X on that
That
customer,
customer.
ultimately. So how do you kind of, rationalize the spending that you're going to do? I think that's a very critical question. So yes. Uh,
But, any marketing intelligence products you would want to talk about, especially the ones you guys have rolled out in the past year or so at Kai.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So actually, because Chi-Square has been in the marketing analytics space for long and for over 1.5 decades. So we have done work across multiple, clients across geographies. So what we realized is that we have like several IPs, more than 10, 12 IPs in this area itself. So we thought that it's better to, create a mechanism in which there could be an exchange with the CMOs, the digital heads, and also with the e-com heads uh, who are in constant need of knowing. For example, CMO wants to know how their brand is doing. Now that, situation is fragmented, you have, multiple platforms on which listing is there, multiple platforms on which you do advertisement. So how do you know what is your equity as a brand? And how do you know your customers, your competitors' equity also? And is it on the up? Is it flat? Is it going down? What are the benchmarks with which you compare it? So that's one element which we call as brand burst. So it gives intelligence purely around how a brand is doing, how the brand equity structure looks like. So it definitely has all the four P's of the marketing. That you talk about distribution. How does the distribution look like? So distribution in digital sense is the listing. So how's the listing? You talk about pricing. So pricing information is there. promotion is the interesting part, because promotion is not only inorganic. You have organic promotion also, which you do on the e-com channels, because a lot of reviews come about your products. Then you also do some kind of a social and reviews that are available, on non-e-com platforms also. So those are very important. And so that is equivalent of some kind of a promotion. And then you have price promotions, which are anyway separate. So these are strong efforts that you do. But the four P's are not good enough to make a distinction in today's world. What we do is we capture the agility of a brand and the adaptability of a brand. By agility we mean ability to sense what is going to work, which keywords are coming in, what the customers are saying, and we link it through the data science models, because just putting data together is not going to take you too far. So we at least try to understand what is happening behind. For example, a lot of reviews you would see on the platforms, on e-com platforms.
Hmm.
Let's say you deal with moisturizer, as a category. Now, moisturizer has several functional benefits. So it may be, the kind of content ingredient it has, the kind of smell it has, the kind of texture it has, and the kind of feel it has, overall, and the results that it generates actually ultimately. If it claims to be, something which is going to make you glow or look fair or look whatever, so whatever your claim is. Uh, so on each of those dimensions, customers have a point of view. So talking about that NPS, that we know the net promoter score, or we know the point of view of customer at an overall level does not work anymore. At a dimension level, what the customer thinks, and are you able to find out gaps that, okay, given that I am good in this dimension, my competitor is good in this dimension, but the customer wants something else, and they
Hmm.
are saying that, oh, well, all this is good, but I wanted the moisturizer to be lasting, all day long, so they wanted, that effect to be, longer than what it is currently. So you find that how do you demonstrate longevity to the customer of a product? So I think that's one aspect. So under BrandVerse, we cover brand intelligence, which kind of brings all this information together and kind of indicates what are the kind of steps you can take in the coming quarter to move up in your equity scores, which we call as a Digi Cadence score actually. So cadence scores. Similarly, this is brand intelligence. Likewise, you have market intelligence. So your same moisturizer, let's say, is listed on three e-commerce and seven quick commerce. And you want to know how it is performing on each of those. So you cannot go on individual platforms to figure it out. You need to know how has been the availability, how has been your price promotions, how has been the customer response, and you want to see it all together at one platform through all the intelligence built in one place. So one is able to see it along with the share of voice, and one is able to also contrast it against competition and go down to the keyword level, and even kind of slice and dice that even further. So that's more about what kind of intelligence you need at a platform level, at a market level. So we call it as a market verse. Third is spend verse, where you are spending money and you want to know what kind of results it is giving. So which is at either campaign level, or you want to take a decision that how much off platform I do, how much on platform I do, and if I do on platform, how do I split it across various marketplaces? And if I decide on the marketplace, within that marketplace, how much do I put to a particular brand? And within the brand, how much do we put to a particular set of keywords? So you can drill down to the right level and figure out what do you do with the money that you have at hand? How do you spend it? So I mean, it's more intelligence around that
So,
space.
so how do you train the models that you have? What's the training models behind them?
So there are two aspects to it. First is that we have built these models So there was a conceptual framework. So framework came by discussions with the CMOs. So at least 3 to 4 CMOs have been very pivotal in helping, sharing their point of view and, you know, suggesting that what will go into a brand equity, what will go into, a marketplace dynamics, and therefore how to capture it best. So we started with a base framework, which we have, kind of continued to evolve.
Hmm.
So we do two things here. So ML is the backbone of this entire thing, wherein you try to suggest that what kind of pricing decisions they may want to take on the next day or the next week on the basis of price trends which have been there. Okay. So you have a volume model and you have a price model. So the volume model kind of tells you that is the volume likely to be high, medium, low. So you get a volume signal essentially. So if the volume signal is excellent, so you know that you are going to have a very good day today. Uh, but similarly, you need to have a price signal also. Price signal tells you that whether while volume is going to be good, but is it the right day to put your price up? You know.
Hmm.
So think of it like a 2 by 2 matrix, very simply, putting it. So high volume and low price. So if you have a high volume, low price scenario, technically you should have uh, high volume flag, I mean, and the pricing flag. So you are likely to have great results for that day versus the other way where you have a higher price, and you have a lower volume flag. So obviously you are not going to get much benefit, by retaining the price. So you'll have to do some tweaking with the prices or some other parameters to be able to perform better. So idea is that you maximize your volumes for a given day. So volume maximization models, so which are all ingrained in some kind of a machine learning. um, Now, the reviews that I was talking about and all unstructured data which comes from the platform bridge. So that needs AI to read it. Okay, so AI engines are required. So we build LLMs, we have utilized LLMs and we built SLMs, which are there, the small learning models. And apart from that, you have a model context also, which are known as MCPs in the AI jargons today.
Yes.
So they help you kind of contextualize your result to, if you're studying e-commerce, so it will be around e-commerce. If you're studying quick commerce, it will be around quick commerce because they have very different dimensions altogether. So pricing behavior is very different between the two types of platforms that we talk about. So how do you deal with it, and how do you, so models are aplenty. Uh, Capture is more AI driven. Some Gen AI is needed also, but it's not truly, you do not need so much Gen AI actually as of today. And what we have seen is that human driven models are still better than the AI driven models as of now. So if there is a choice, till the time artificial general intelligence comes, AGI comes, I think human intelligence would still be keeping you in a slightly better spot. But automation and efficiency has gone up tremendously because of the AI. So that we have to give away to AI. But essentially, it is still more ML which drives the businesses today at our end also and at the customer end also.
Hmm. Very recently, we interviewed Luke Julia, who is the creator of Siri. Uh,
Mhm.
and he's an advocate of SLMs
Mhm.
from various perspectives, um, including the sustainability cost. Uh,
Mhm.
when you look at emerging MarTech stacks, do you think we are
Mhm.
headed towards verticalized domain-specific AI models, which you called, of course, SLMs, or
Mhm.
are we still looking at unified LLM-driven orchestration layers?
I would say that LLM is excellent. Um, And if you are third party dependent or you are totally dependent on public data, then LLMs are perfectly fine.
True.
No issues with that. But majority of the decisions, especially if I go back to now banking and telco and even government for that matter, they have lot of proprietary data, right? on which, they would not probably want to run a LLM or make that data available to LLM. So it is better to, train those within the SLM paradigm and contextualize those models as much as possible, and build it, within. So you may have multiple SLMs for different tasks that you want to do. Also, you would have heard of agentic AIs, so agentic AI is the next, important thing in the scheme of things. So how is it that, especially um, if you want to do a lot of personalization, for example, and campaigns today need high hyper local or hyper personalization actually. Now, so you can generate ad content on the basis of, what the customer has been, what does he appreciate, what does he not appreciate.
Hmm.
So, and they could be very geographically also very local. So that, you go to Bengal, so they have a particular culture, so they appreciate certain kind of food, they appreciate certain kind of other body products, and
Hmm.
so that there is a psychological profile which is underlying. So what is it that you can design and cater which is specific, which they are going to appreciate, versus if you go to Andhra or you come to Punjab, so geographically also you will be able to split that. In fact, you can do a lot of A/B testing also on the fly. So if you have alternate, content. So if you have, in fact, there are examples of, CPG corporations themselves, having invested into creating, they, split the same major ad into like 1,000 different variants. So about 1,200 variants they created, and they were able to see which variant really works for which kind of customer, and use that to allocate the money also. That okay, this one seems to be working, and the target population for that particular ad is very high. So it makes sense to put money on that kind of a ad. So that's also one of the ways one can deal and train the models which suit you. You don't have to copy, what maybe somebody is doing LLM. It's not necessary. If you don't need an LLM, you don't need an LLM. Maybe
Hmm.
SLM is more appropriate. But with CPG, with a lot of data being a public data, LLMs are perfectly fine for them.
My perhaps the last question. If you had to design an ideal AI-driven MarTech stack
Hmm.
for the next 5 years, what would its architecture look like in terms of data ingestion, training, orchestration, and execution?
Yeah. Although I'm not the best person to answer this, but let me, try that, from your question standpoint. So, from a design standpoint, see, I mean, integrations are most important. So today, it is not so much, the content. Nobody's really generating content sitting at one place. So content is coming from so many different places. So the data ingestion part is where the key is. And, I can tell you that a lot of our BI development earlier was being done by BI visualization experts,
Hmm.
but today it has gone to data engineers, because they are able to integrate. Now, for example, I'll give you two quick examples of from an architecture standpoint. So you would have heard of Copilot, and you would have heard of Power BI also at the same time.
Hmm.
So I'm talking now from the front end standpoint. Data ingestion, there's a lot which can really happen, and there are so many tools you can integrate with Llama. You could integrate with Gemini. You could integrate with, if you are doing SLMs, then Llama is pretty good actually. Quen is another one, which you could bring on the back end side. But the critical thing is that what is the presentation layer? How do you take it back to the customer? Or somebody who's reading and analyzing your information with a good visualization. So there is something known as AI in BI, which we are, also promoting significantly. So what that means is that front end is, your traditional BI, let's say Power BI or Tableau or something else. It's a different matter that we have found Metabase to be doing very well, ThoughtSpot to be doing excellent, and they are giving very tough competition to Power BI, QuickSight, and to Tableau. But what makes ThoughtSpot and Metabase good is their pliability. Today, even though Power BI is excellent, Copilot integration is also good. And what does it do? Let's say you have 5 visualizations which have come, which is about a business process. For example, you are tracking ROAS itself, or you are tracking share of voice, or something that is important to the business. So when you analyze it, Copilot is able to figure out what is trending, what is working, what is not working, and is able to give a recommendation also. So it is with an inbuilt recommendation engine. Okay. So which kind of tells you that these are the top actions that you need to take, and these are the 5 most important observations that you have. However, implementing it is not very easy, and that is unfortunately the design that Microsoft has chosen. You need to have very significant stack to be able to really use Copilot and its entire capabilities. Gemini with Looker, is slightly better. So Gemini is, on the Google front. So, and their visualization tool is Looker. So Looker plus Gemini makes a very formidable, combination. If we talk about Power BI and Copilot, that's also fine. But they have, their own design restrictions, which kind of is not going to make it prevalent. Looker and Gemini has more potential. But like I said, that what our experience is that we are able to integrate any AI engine that we want with ThoughtSpot, for example, or with Metabase. Of course, it has its own small costs that are there, but integration and being able to keep the front layer or the presentation layer open is extremely open, extremely important. Now coming to the main point from the entire thing, Bridge. So what marketers are lacking is a marketing data lake, actually. So from a design standpoint, for me, I have been seeing their data for very long. They have got a lot of unstructured data and semi-structured data which has crept in. So which cannot be addressed through the conventional data warehouse solutions or data, even the data marts which may be there. And unfortunately, even though the CMOs and the digital heads, e-com heads, they would want all this information as per their requirement. The marketing data lakes are not there. They are organizational data lakes, they are enterprise data lakes, but they are not marketing data lakes. So the design of those data lakes, which already knows what each of these business heads need and compartmentalizes the data accordingly, has tremendous room for, let us say, this data, the unstructured data, which is reviews, ratings, which has got a lot of other social data that is there for you and for competition. So it is able to pull that all together and is able to service to each of these heads on demand, basically. So whatever they need. So there has to be a fluid design. So integration and ingestion is one part of it only, which can come from multiple sources. The processing, the transformation of that data, which is required. So transformation right now is not AI driven. Transformation is still mostly intelligent rules driven. So what kind of rules you can incorporate to make that transformation more intelligent? I think that's where everybody has to spend time on. The AI in this is still in a very nascent stage. So it doesn't have the best rules, it doesn't have the best results, actually, unfortunately. But ingestion, yes. And on the front end, if you talk, on the front end, I told you that there are limitations which Microsoft or Google itself have imposed to some extent. Otherwise, if you go to some other tools like ThoughtSpot, you are able to integrate any LLMs or any GPTs very easily. So from a design standpoint, there are some deficiencies on the front end, and definitely the middle stages of transformation are very, very basic as far as AI goes. So only ingestion part is what is sorted well. But that doesn't stop us from making a marketing data lake. I would say every marketer on who's spending money, who's wanting to be listed at multiple places, and you want to do excellent, you want to have a high ROAS, you want to have a great CLTV. But if you do not have this backing mechanism with you, I don't know in today's time how you are going to really keep up with the data demands which are there.
I think a lot of marketing technologists who would be, watching this interview later, I think would find a lot of valuable, actionable insights because I think breaking down these complex areas, especially in a world where there are a lot of tools, uh, you know, in an interview with Mr. Brinker, he talked about 15,000 different tools available in the market now. I think it's very difficult to, as a marketer, it is very difficult to put your hand on the right tool and, without testing, of course. And I think you gave some very clear insights as to what sorts of tools should marketers get themselves into. And I think these are the kind of nuances that often get lost in the hype that we have built around AI in marketing. So I think thank you so much for giving us your time, and we'll stay in touch with you. We have a martech summit which is coming, in it's on 12th of December. We'd love to for you to join us as a panelist, as a speaker. Anupama will get in touch with you with more details regarding that. Till then, I think
Sure, Brig. It was a pleasure being here, and thanks for your time as well. And look forward to connect up whenever you think is the
great. Thank you
good
so much.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks, Anupma. Bye bye.